My fellow denizens of the Under Empire, welcome to the showdown between the Skaven, who shall be led by Lord Skrolk, and Norsca, who's going to be helmed by a chieftain, and he's going to be atop his mighty mammoth. So on that note, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, it's going to be relatively well balanced. So here in the front line, it's going to be Skaven slaves. Of course, they're probably the best choice to be taking a beating for the Horned Rat. And against Norsca, it's nice to have a tar pit of HP, and they actually have 6,400 HP, so it's not bad. You basically throw them in the front line against Berserkers and Marauders, which they'll lose very heavily against, but that buys time for your Flayers and your kind of a lawnmower type units to get in there and do some damage. So we have a couple of groups of these Skaven slaves in the front line. In the secondary, we have a little bit better quality, but not by much. These are going to be the Clan Rats. So they have 24, 26, 26, and honestly, against like Marauders and things like that, they can hold their own for a minute. Yes, they're going to lose, but it's more about washing Norsca, on the rat tide, just the vermin tide, just washing them along and trying to wear them down so that when they get to your back line and fight your more elite troops like these Storm Vermin, Doom Flayers, Rat Ogres, they're going to be really beat up and worn down. So four groups of Clan Rats in the secondary line. In the back, we have two groups of Storm Vermin, which are actually a really good infantry against Norsca. So firstly, they have 90 armor. So fighting against Berserkers who have very low AP, Marauder Champions have low AP, Standard Marauders have low AP. These guys are going to be very tanky and can actually hold and win many of those fights. So it's pretty rare that as Skaven, your infantry are going to win a fight against another faction. Well, I mean, in some cases they can, but I mean, Plague Monks, things like that. But still, in this matchup, it's going to be quite nice to have an infantry unit that can actually hold against the Norscan onslaught. So we have two of those. In the back, we got some more spears. It's just going to be cheapo Clan Rats with spears. Two groups of Rat Ogres. So just in case they came in with like chariots or Fimir or anything with high mass that could push through and get onto our Jezzails in the back, I wanted to bring a couple groups of Rat Ogres to try and pin those guys down. So we have two of those. And Skrolk Daddy's always a pretty good choice, and we've been seeing a lot of Ikit, so I figured let's go back to the old school. And Skrolk is super competitive nonetheless. He does, of course, have the Libra Bonicus, Rod of Corruption. He can summon rats to kind of, wherever you have an issue in your formation, he can kind of address it. And, he's pretty powerful, 62, 45, 434. Certainly no joke. And, of course, he does magic damage and contaminates people, which is fun. Two Jezzails. I didn't want to go overload with the guns, because if you do, especially against good players, and in this case, I'm playing the Great Falcon, the champion of the Eternal Challenger League Season 1, and of course he's going to be playing in the finals of the second one here. I figured, hey, if I go too heavy on guns, he's going to have good micro, he's going to swarm, he's going to get into the back, so I didn't want to have too much to protect, and that really is kind of a fine line to walk, but in this case, I have to make sure I have enough stopping power to kill like a dragon and a mammoth, so these rat boys are going to have their hands full for sure. So for Falcon's army, he does have Skin Wolves in the front line. It's a combination of Marauders, Champions, as well as Berserkers, who are just going to be getting crunk on my lines here. Two Skin Wolves, a Marauder Chieftain, so not going with Wolfric. It looks like it's going to be the laziest Chieftain in the world, just sitting on his chair while his Mammoth does all the work. We got a Firecaster down here, so Fireball's pretty good against Skaven Lords, just kind of popping them in the face. Burning Head is good against Skaven Infantry, who are lightly armored for the most part. So Shaman Sorcerer is a good choice, and of course the Falcon Classic, he does of course have the Frostworm, and up here on the high ground, two groups of the Marauder Horsemen, so they're pretty good against like Rat Ogres and Hell Pits and things like that. So on that note, guys, let's get this show on the road and have some fun. So the Skin Wolves are going to be charging in against the Doom Flayers initially, and some of these angry werewolves are going to be surging forth, trying to chase down my Doom Flayers, but I am going to be opening up with the Jezzails. We do get a Libra Bubonicus. I figured, hey, let's burst these guys down, get some really good damage, and Falcon does respond with the Fireball, getting some really good work, and it looks like that dragon had a little bit of a limp breath attack. He wasn't able to get too much value. And the Skin Wolves here are going to be surging in and collapsing on top of my Jezzails. Now, I will probably be losing these Jezzails here, which was a little bit unfortunate with that breath attack coming in, but the Clan Rats and company should be able to do a ton of damage against those Skin Wolves, so hopefully it'll be an even trade. And on the other part of the battlefield, we do get a good trade with these Skin Wolves, and those guys actually get taken out by the Flayers and the Storm Vermin, as well as the Gunfire. So far, so good in that respect. So one group of Jezzails, the Sharpshooters, unfortunately, are in bad shape here, but we did kill some Skin Wolves and also trap up another group, so let's see how it goes. In the meantime, Skrolk Daddy did take a Fireball, like I said, so he's a little bit beat up, and he does need to watch out for this Mammoth. That Mammoth can crump him pretty bad, and it looks like the Big Dragon has landed here, so the Clan Rat's not going to hold terribly long against the Terror, but nonetheless, they'll do their best. But I send in the Rat Ogres as well as the Doom Flayers to try and pin the Dragon down. Not, obviously won't kill it, but it's going to hold it in place a little bit, or at least force it back, at which point we can keep shooting. Now, in the back line, some of the Marauder Champions have gotten back here, so I will be grabbing the Rat Ogres here in a second to attack and free up my Jezzails, but a little bit slow on the reaction there. In the front line, like I said, Storm Vermin doing a really good job. These rats are just so incredibly solid against these non-AP infantry, so they're going to hold, and yeah, you can see they're barely taking any damage. They're beating down the Marauders. Over here in the front, we got Clan Rats and Flayers working on the Brutes of the Hound, so Flayers super good against infantry. But alas, Falcon does have some werewolves coming back in, so it's going to be a little bit spooky. Of course, the king of werewolves from the Ever-Chosen Invitational there. You guys remember that? Pretty good stuff. So in the back, a very good play here by Falcon. He is able to grab his Marauder Horsemen and use them to chase down my Sharpshooters, who did come back. So they could have been a huge factor in this battle, shooting the Mammoth, providing a lot of Overwatch fire, but alas, they are going to get chased off by these Haggard Barbarians. In the meantime, in the back, we are able to finish off these Marauder Horsemen here and stabilize our center pocket for the most part, and I'm also able to get my Warplock Jezzails back, at which point I can shoot at the Dragon, I can shoot at the Mammoth, the world is indeed the Skaven's oyster. So here in the main fight, the clan rats are going to be fighting in the front against the Marauders, holding back the tide. So honestly, the Norscan infantry, for the most part, have been dealt with. They're very beat up across the entire formation, so that part of the battle went quite well. The Marauder champions, the Berserkers, are all very beat up, and really I don't have too much pressure in the back line aside from the Horsemen and the Monsters. So the Dragon's going to be landing here with the Werewolves. I will be sending in the Rat Ogres, and we're also going to be dropping another Liber Bubonicus on top of the Dragon, which is going to be nice. I don't think we've dropped it yet, but we do in just a second now. Jezzails are going to be opening up as well, and I'm also going to be using these juicy little clan rats over here to go attack and push off the Marauder Horsemen. So Rat Ogres do buckle off. Skrulk Daddy is going to be jumping in there to summon some clan rats. So summoning clan rats, my back line, I still have some extra Skaven slaves and chaff spears and things like that, but let's just throw some summons in there. Let them take the beating, and you know, Skaven summons a little bit weaker than they were before, but nonetheless still pretty good. So we do drop the Liber Bubonicus. The Dragon is going to get pushed off. Cascading Fire Cloak was casted on it here, but it has 314 HP. It looks like it's going to break. Probably not going to be coming back with that type of HP. However, we still have this elephant in the room, quite literally. It's going to be the Marauder Chieftain on his giant elephant here, and the Skaven Slave's going to be running in with their pitchforks and shanks, and they got a lot of HP to work through. It's going to be really tricky. Now over here, I start to run Skrulk in this direction because I have Stormvermin, I have Flayers, I have a pretty good little pocket here. So I figured, hey, this area is going to be a little bit scary. The Mammoth is just going to be stomping and crushing and having a good old time at my expense. So let's get out of here, not deal with the Mammoth, and hopefully be in a stable situation. So Skrulk Daddy is going to be coming over here. Werewolves do pile back in, but the Stormvermin are going to be holding with their liege here. Lord Skrulk is going to be, well, I guess it would be Queek technically. It would be like the leader of Planet Forest, but you guys get the picture. So we do drop a Rod of Corruption here, which is going to be hitting these filthy Berserkers, and it hits them as well as the Skin Wolves, and the Skin Wolves, with their 15 armor, are honestly going to be going down to the Stormvermin plus Lord Skrulk, so they should be able to take those guys down. Now there is a bit of a resurgence here of Norskins. You can see there's some Marauders back here, there's a Shaman Sorcerer with fire, some Berserkers coming back in, and the Bounce Fire is actually a little bit out of my favor here, so looking a little bit spooky. But honestly, it's really just the Mammoth. The Mammoth is the biggest factor. This main pocket here, we honestly should be able to win this fight. Maybe with these Stormvermin, as long as they don't break off, but I think I might have over-chased something on accident. Yeah, it looks like they were chasing off something. Yeah, these Marauders, maybe, I'm not sure. But the Norscan's having a bit of a mass route here. So you can see the Marauders and the Skin Wolves and all these guys are going to be breaking because I bring my Flayers over, I bring my Rat Ogres. So really good situation here. And honestly, if we could maybe, you know, clean up this pocket and do a little bit of damage here and get some sort of a decent surround with the Rat Ogres and Skrulk and just all beating on the Mammoth. But even still, that's so much HP, 8,740. That's certainly going to be the most serious obstacle to victory here. That thing is a huge, just angry beast. So there are some Horsemen coming back in. I also have some troops over here. So Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats and the Stormvermin on the far side are able to win their fights versus Marauders. So that was quite nice right there. So yeah, Felcon's Mammoth is going to be coming in, stomping on some Rat Boys, and the Rat Ogres are pretty much the only high mass unit I have to fight them, and they are just getting shreked by the Overwatch fire coming in from the Marauder Horsemen over there. So I tried to get my little Clan Rats with spears to chase those guys down, and we're hustling, we're working, we're doing work, but alas, he's just kind of circling away from me. But at the very least, the Rat Ogres are, I guess, still alive. Maybe they're terrified. They might come back. We'll see. So over here, Skrulk Daddy is going to be pursuing the Skin Wolves. I'm getting my Flayers as well. I know I want to delay that Mammoth fight for as long as possible, try and get as much value as I can from the other assets on the field here before I have to take the big fight versus the Mammoth here. But it looks like there's going to be a Fireball going down, and does it hit 2,200? Looks like it did Tokyo Drift and take out a Rat Ogre. So hit a Rat Ogre in the face, which is quite nice for my opponent there. And the Skin Wolves are going to be getting taken out. Skrulk will contaminate them, which is going to put their leadership down by a substantial amount. And there we go. So they're broken and shattered. One of them is broken, the other one is shattered. And the Mammoth is coming in. He's still at 8,500 HP. But look at this. I have a horde of rats over here. I have a lot of stuff. And there really isn't much for Norsca aside from their leadership. But again, this Mammoth counts for a lot, right? Like the entire accrued value of what's left over here probably still doesn't add up to the Mammoth. So you have to take into account. There's like Clan Rats and Slaves and just cheapo stuff over there. So really, can Skrulk be the hero that Gotham needs? Can he fight this Mammoth here? He's got 1,000 HP. He's at negative 4 leadership. He's wavering and terrified. And no, he's not going to be the hero Gotham needs. He's going to get trampled, destroyed, and smashed by Felcon's glorious Mammoth. And that is going to be all she wrote for the Skaven, as the rest of my forces will pile in, but the Mammoth is instantly going to tear out this very tattered blob. You can see everyone's just going to be running for the hills. And that's all she wrote. So very well played to Felcon. It was a super fun game. You know, I thought at one point it might have had a chance there when we collapsed that flank. We were able to get a lot of damage, kill the dragon, deal with the Skin Wolves, but alas, I just didn't put enough effort into the Mammoth, and Felcon had good micro with it. He was able to keep it away, pressure the Jezzails hard, and even though his pressure into the Jezzails did cost him, like he took some damage on the Skin Wolves and the Frostworm and stuff like that, it was good though, because the only real answers I had for his big targets were the Jezzails, and he realized I had 2 of them. If you could take out one of them, it's really going to make it super hard for me to kill the big target. So Felcon's target priority was beautiful. He did a really, really good job, and his army was solid. It was fun, for sure. So the big old Mammoth getting in there, getting a little bit crazy, and not much I could do about it. So as far as this build goes, it was a good build. I think it was pretty well suited against like hordes of infantry, but again, it didn't have too much to deal with big targets outside of the Jezzail, so letting that one get compromised was really bad. I should have had it further back and like back and offset from any of the flanks, just like deep in the formation. So if he wants to come back there, it's really going to have to be an overextension. That was a huge mistake I made, was letting that guy get compromised. And it was a small map, so he closed the distance quite quickly, and I didn't have too much time to adjust. But yeah, putting those guys further back, I still think that even had they survived longer, I don't know if it would have been enough, honestly. I think the infantry corps was good. I'd probably cut like one clan rat, maybe cut like one Doom player, and maybe get like a Helpit Abomination and just sit it back behind my Giselles. Because then if something big comes back, I mean, I think that's really what I needed. Like, the infantry was a little bit much. It was able to do the job with the flares and everything, but I think cutting one clan rat, one flayer, and maybe a Skaven slave and just getting a Helpit Abomination would have been super good. They're just so good against Norsca. I really need something like that. So again, well played to Falcon. Please make sure to check out his Twitch channel, which will be in the comment section below. If you guys want to see him playing live, he's an extremely good player, one of the best out there. So please make sure to check him out. And on that note, guys, we'll see you next time. And thanks again for watching. Take care.